Hey, welcome back to the academic powerhouse with your mathematical meathead himself, the realest guy in the room. Bada bing, bada boom. How you doing? How you doing? Let's continue on with statistics. Let's continue on with statistics to remind ourselves where we left off. What is statistics? Statistics is all about being able to tell a story of truth through the collection, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data. Every good story, including the story of statistics, has three key elements. The story of statistics has the elements of center, spread, and shape. We can use math to calculate the center and the spread, which when we present and when we create into a visualization will give us shape. When we have all three elements together, boom, that's our statistical story. The math that I mentioned, we have mathematical measures of central tendency. We also have mathematical measures of variability. And you need to be familiar with what these are. There's more than just what's listed here, but for our purposes here, these are what we want to focus on. Measures of central tendency include the average, or you'll see the word mean used quite often, the median, and the mode. We'll talk more about these here in a second. Measures of variability include range, interquartile range, and mean absolute deviation. We'll talk more about those later. Now, what I want to do in this video is run through a couple examples on how to calculate measures of central tendency specifically, so that you can then begin to calculate, given a set of data, these different measures. So let's run through an example together, guys. Let's run through an example together. This first example here, something that we're all very familiar with. Scores on a quiz, for example, a math quiz. So, following along with the statistical storytelling process of collecting and then analyzing, I've collected data and I've asked the question in order to collect the data. The question being, what were all of the quiz scores on the most recent quiz? Now, I just made all these up, by the way. Okay, so don't be alarmed. But yes, you ask such a question, you collect data, and then you can analyze the data. What I want to analyze right now are the central numbers, the summary number that says where, that can summarize and describe the full set of data, right? The centralized number that summarizes all of it. So, I have some data here, some data points. Right, these are all the scores. Now, so basically, what I want to start, I want to find all three. I want to find my average, I want to find my median, and I want to find my mode. So, refresher as to what average is. Average is adding up all of the data points together and then dividing by, you literally count how many there are. So, for example, here, what I've done, I've pre-written here each one of these. So 64, 78, 62, et cetera, added them all up, right? Just a big, huge thing here. I've got 15 data points. I've counted them out. 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 data points. 15 data points. Add them all up. And if you plug these things into a calculator, you could do it by hands, but you can use a calculator here. You're going to get the top part, the adding of all that together. You're going to get 1,174 divided by 15. We didn't do anything with the 15 yet. We are about to, though. We're about to divide that big number, 1174, by 15. And when we do, we end up getting 78.9 I'll round up and say 3, right? So 78.3 points on the 100-point quiz, or in other words, 73 or 78.3%. That's the average of all the quiz scores, guys. That is, okay, some people did worse, some people did less, but that 78 is representative of where most people are. That's the beauty of average. That's the understanding of what average is. Now, median. Median is basically you take all the numbers. You're not always going to have them organized. Here, they're not organized, right? 64, 78, 100, 50s. They're not in any way, but you have to understand the median is all about finding the middle number of your set of data after you organize it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to organize the numbers here. I'm going to organize the numbers here. Make it bigger so we can see it. Okay, now they're all in order. They're all in order. So that is going to make it much easier for me to pick out the middle number. Now, when we interpret later, we'll talk about which measure of central tendency, we have 3 of them, and what these all mean to us and what they can tell us. But right now we're just worried about how to figure these out. And there is meaning if you have differences between these different numbers. There is significant meaning, which again we'll talk about later. Right? But anyways, median. Now that I have everything organized, what I can do is literally pick out the middle number. I really don't even have to do any sort of calculation, math, addition, subtraction, whatever. I can literally just count. Let's see. Well, I already counted before I have 15. Um, well, yeah, and I guess what you can do is, well, I guess you can sort of calculate it, but I can, if it's a small set of data like this, I can literally just count 15 in the middle. So I got 15, so I can just literally count which one's in the middle. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I got 7 here. Okay, so remember that. And then I got, actually I'll even circle it here just to remind myself. All right, so that's not the middle, that's not the median, that's just, I counted to 7. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is another 7. I evenly counted on both sides, 7. From top down, bottom up, 7. There's one number that's in between. One number that is in between, guys. It's this number here, 78, so that is our median. Our median is 78. Now, if you wanted to calculate it, you can calculate the number position of where your median will be at. So, for example, I can do, it's only going to give you the number position, but I can do, right, 2 divided by 15. Right, I want to find the middle half of it. So you do this out, you get 7.5. Number position 7.5. Or the other way of interpreting this is saying 7 number positions and because it's a decimal, it's not a full number, it's not a full whole number, saying that go 7 number positions, and then the immediate one right after that one is your center number. So next number is center. Right? Again, why divide by 2? Well, because I'm thinking of, going from top down, bottom up, right? There's two different ways, two different directions. That's why I'm dividing by two. Two gets you in the middle, two gets you half, however you want to think of it. But yeah, if you wanted to calculate the number position, again, not the number position, this is how you would do it. So again, let's see. So this holds true, right? I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, my 69. Then the immediate one right after that, 78. Okay. And then again, once again from the bottom going up, 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the immediate number position right after, which was again 78. So everything checks out. So median, 78. Interesting, interesting. Right away, I'm seeing something interesting here. The median is fairly close to the average. That has meaning, which again, we'll talk about in a future video. But this should give you a good feeling right now that there's a high degree of accuracy with the number. There's a fairly good shape to the number, I'll say. Don't want to spoil too much now, but okay, now let's talk about mode. Mode, now there really is no calculating to be done with mode. Mode is simply whichever one appears the most often. Whichever one appears the most often. So, with that said, I'm looking here at my data set of numbers. I'm looking through, and I see a number, a particular number happens to be repeating. A particular number happens to be repeating. It happens to be this number here. I'm seeing it 3 times. I don't see any other number repeating at all, let alone 3 times. 3 times is the most. This number happens to be the number that repeats the most, and the only one that repeats. Therefore, by default, boom, that is the mode, 95. 95 is the mode. I'll do it in black. There we go. 95 is the mode. Fairly not too bad. These are the things you'll have to be able to do with a set of data, given a set of data. That's kind of interesting. Not too bad. A little fun even, maybe, right? That's my idea of fun. All right, let's look at one more example here. One more example so that we can really solidify the concepts. Oh, let's say we want to have a class push-up competition. Class push-up competition. How many push-ups can the members of the class do in 1 minute? Oh man, oh man, oh man. And this time we're gonna have the teacher participate too, not just students. The quiz scores were all about the students. This competition, push-ups, everyone's involved, students and teacher alike, which has meaning for how we calculate this number. In a second, I'll get to it. Anyways, so very similar. Now, I've already organized this list of numbers in order from smallest to biggest, which, should save us a couple seconds or so. But anyways, average, same thing. You just add them all up. You take all of these, add them all together, and then divide by the total number of them. So here, in this case, with the teacher's inclusion, there were 15 students. With the teacher's inclusion, now we have 16. So if you add them all up, you're going to get 760. All those numbers together equals 760 divided by 16. When you do the math on that, when you do the division, you can do it by hand, calculator, whatever, however you want to do it. You're going to get 47 and a half, meaning the average push-ups that the members of the class can do is 47 and a half. Some can do more, some can do less, but that one number by itself is representative of what somebody in this class can do. Pretty neat indeed. Now let's talk about median. Here's where things get a little interesting because we have now 16. 16 total numbers. And if we do now, like we did before, we divided the total numbers by 2, and from that we found out what the middle number could be. Now, if we do the same thing, it's just plain old 8. There is no decimal. You see, there's no decimal. What this tells you, the decimal tells you that a next immediate number position is the middle number. Because there is no decimal position, look here, guys, look here. Because there's no decimal position, you should be able to intuitively understand that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to circle that real quick. So that's where we ended off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there at that 50. That was 8. Well, look, guys, there's nothing in between. We don't have a data point that's in between these two numbers according to our data sets. That's where things get a little interesting, because if you don't have a very explicit median within your set of data, in other words, if you have a even number of data points, you're going to have to create a median. Create a median. That's where this whole thing gets a little interesting. Well, in order to create a median, all you must do is simply take the average of these two numbers here, the average of just these two, right? So average equals 49 plus 50, and there's two of them, so divide 2. When you do the math on that, you're going to get 99 divided by 2, and you're going to get 49.5. That 49.5 is your median. You created it. You created it just now, your median. So the takeaway here is that when you have an odd number of data points, you will have an explicit median. If you have an even number of data points, you will need to create by taking the average of the two that are next to, or the two that would otherwise, like if there were a number in between, the two that would otherwise be the ones that sandwich that middle number, right? 49.5 is sandwiched between 49 and 50. Mode, there's nothing different about the mode on this one, guys. Nothing different at all. The mode is still the most commonly occurring value. Most commonly occurring value. So when I look at this set of data here, oh, okay, I see, this is interesting. I see two 49s. Okay, I'll highlight that a little bit. I also see a few 52s here. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. So these are the only numbers that repeat, 49 and 52. But again, it's the most commonly occurring value. So in other words, 52 is the answer. 52 is the answer. Now, what if there was no most? What if there was no most at all, and in fact, there were only 2 occurrences of 52 and 2 occurrences of 49? Well, if that were the case, hypothetically speaking, then your mode would actually be 2 numbers, 49 and 52. That would be your mode. That would be the answer to the question. However, that's not the case here. The case here is we do have an explicit mode. We do have 52 explicitly occurring more often than 49, or in fact any other number here. So in this one, we don't need to really worry about it, guys. Don't need to worry about it. But hopefully Now, actually, again, these are the average here, 47.5, the median, 49.5. A little bit off. Again, there's meaning behind, right? You can make interpretations, um, which again, we'll talk about in a later video. So, I hope going through these two examples of how to find your measures of central tendency will help out. Next video, we'll talk about how to calculate measures of variability. And then further beyond that, we'll move on into how do we interpret, how do we build a shape out of what we've done here and interpret what's happening with our data. And then, boom, once we interpret, we present, we will have told our statistical story. And that's it, man. That's it. All there. That is all there is to statistics, guys. It's just telling that story. So, with that said, I hope you pumped up your mental muscles pretty well today. Feel the burn, baby, because we ain't slowing down. We got more to burn, more iron to pump, and more knowledge to fuel our path toward enlightenment. So, till next time, guys. See ya. Take care.